going to go and make the hen now. So we're going to use the white yarn and some of the grey yarn and the longer piece of card to wrap the yarn round, and this time we're using 60 wraps each time. 2 of the piles are going to be completely white, and the third one, which will be the wings, will just have a little bit of grey added to it, so I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So again, taking the yarn from the centre if you can, we're going to start wrapping 60 times round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you carry on until you've done that a total of 60 times, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. So that's 60 wraps round on that first one. Cut it off, and as before we're going to cut through the bottom of those wraps. Trying to keep them all together. Carefully take them off the card and lay them out. So do another one exactly the same as that one, 60 wraps all with the white yarn, and then come back and I'll show you how to do the third wraps. The last set of wraps are going to make the wings, and you're going to add some of the grey in at the end. So do 50 wraps round and then cut off the white at the end, so you've just got the white on the board, and then add another 10 wraps of the grey on top, and then once you've done that, cut them off like we did before on the others. So 50 wraps round of white and then 10 of the grey on top of that. Once you've done that, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we've got our 50 white wraps and 10 or so grey wraps on top of that one. So again, cut them off the card. And lay them out nicely. Okay, this one's going to be the wing, so we can leave that one to the end. And this one will be the head and back, and this one will be the face and the stomach. So again, if you take one of the threads out from each of these to use to tie with, you should have a little bit of white left over anyway, which we can use the spare bits. I'll just make sure we've got some. Okay, I'm going to just set the wing one over to the side for the moment, and then like before, just make it the same way as the chick. Lay one over the top of the other, or layer one over the layer two, so it's halfway over. Pull this one round. Let's get them nice and straight. And then use one of the yarn strings that we cut to tie behind And then again we're going to pull that round together and tie another one underneath there, making sure that the knots go on the underneath side. Then place it down with the beak side down onto the mat, and then this time, because the wings are so long, I want to tie a thread around the middle of these to keep everything in place. So halfway, about halfway, but you must make sure that the grey pieces are on the top, otherwise they'll be hidden when you pull the wings round. Lay the knot downwards. It doesn't really matter because it won't be seen, but you want to make sure that the grey side is facing the table. And then you need your large egg, which you place behind everything again, and just get another piece of yarn ready for the tying. You actually cut two now, about the same length, 25 centimeters or so. Need two. Bring the top layer over. Keep the wings out of the way, and then scoop everything up and gently trap that polystyrene egg inside. Trying to make sure the yarn lies nicely in the direction you want it to go. Again, don't pull too hard, otherwise the egg will pop out or twist around and you'll have a more of an upright chicken rather than a oval shaped body. Okay, so you'll see the egg a little bit on each side, but that's fine because the wings will cover it up in a minute. Just play about till you're happy with the shape and happy how the yarn is lying. Then take your piece of yarn and tie it round the back where the tail's going to go. Turn it over and tie a knot underneath. So then we want to adjust the wings, so they're going to cover up that polystyrene. So again, just shape them nicely, get them lying flat, level with where we tied the tail. Check that you've covered up the polystyrene egg, so you don't want to see it poking through. And then use the other piece to tie it again. Turn it over and tie a knot. This one's got a very, very long tail. Okay. You might want to adjust the length of the tail and cut it short if that's what you want, or leave it really long. I think this one needs a bit of a trim, so I'm just going to trim it. That's better. If you do see any bits where it's poking through like that, later on when you've got your hot glue gun, you can always just pop a dab of glue or your all-purpose glue and just close up that little gap there. But often if you just manipulate the yarn slightly so it tucks underneath, then that disappears anyway. Okay, the next thing to do are the legs. This time we're going to use the brown wire, and it's exactly the same measurements and the same method as making the legs for the chick. Cut one piece, long piece at 25 centimeters and 3 pieces at 5 centimeters. Hold the ends, which are going to end up being the toes, and wrap the long piece round tightly all the way up to the top. Giving it a little bit of a push every now and again to keep those coils tightly pushed up against each other. Okay, so that's one made. I'll leave you to make the second one, and I'll join you back in a minute. So we're going to make the beak now with your piece of card, and the template is here for the hen beak, and it's the same thing again, just mark the top point and the lower point, and then those two lines would meet up, that diagonal line, and just cut it You can draw the line if you feel it will help you, but it's okay just to do it by eye as well. So that's the beak ready, and again you can colour that brown or orange if you want to. And then we need to sew on the eyes with your black thread. Again, it's a double thread with a double knot at the end, trimmed, and then you need 2 beads. The technique is exactly the same as for doing the eyes on the chick. Thread your bead onto your needle and then through the threads by the knot and pull it so that it locks the bead onto the thread. And then the positioning of the eyes, like with the chick, is just below the head, and you just don't want to get too close, just a little bit below, halfway between the front and the back, and sew them on exactly the way we did with the chick, going through twice and then up through to the point under the, I suppose you call them top feathers, under the top feathers, and then coming back out to cut it off. So I'll leave you to sew on the eyes, and I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, so you've got the 2 legs, the beak is ready, and you've sewn on the eyes. The next part to do is the comb and the wattle. Technically they should have 2 of these coming down from their face, but I think 1 looks fine. So you need some red felt, and the template is on the instructions here. You could cut these out or trace them onto some card and use them as a template, or just do it sort of freehand, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure how big a piece of felt I need, so from here to about there, and height wise, just checking I can get it all on one piece, to about here. So I cut that piece off first. And then you just want to create a sort of wiggly comb shape, so I can mark where the bottom of it is here as a starting point, and then just go freehand they'll all look different if you do them freehand like that. More or less the right size. And then the same with this little piece here. So it's about that size. And again it's a sort of teardrop shape, so I'm just going to freehand cut a teardrop shape. That's fine. Put in the light so you can see a bit better. Okay, so let's start putting it all together. Plug in your glue gun if you haven't already done so, and we'll get out your all-purpose glue, whichever you prefer. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is put the beak into place, just like we did with the chick. You can choose which way up you want it to go, and it's going to nestle in that gap that you've got there. Push it in as far as you want it to go to give your hen some character, and then put some glue on and push it into place. Then we're going to add the comb. So find the centre of the hen's head and you're going to part it down as far as the layer underneath. So you'll soon see where that layer is. Then put some glue on the bottom edge and then you're going to glue that into place. If you think it's a bit tall, so just have a little check first of all. That might be a little bit tall, so I might just trim the bottom of that first. That's fine, and then put some glue on and then glue that into place and then pinch the side yarns together to help hold it in place. I'm just going to put some glue on that bottom edge. Put it in place and pinch the side bits together. And then for the little bit underneath the beak, it's just a little dab of glue on the top of the teardrop shape and then just glue it in the centre there underneath the beak. If you want to make an adjustment to the size, then that's fine. I'll just make that slightly shorter. A dab of glue and then fix it underneath the beak. And then the legs can go on. Again, remember you position them on into the polystyrene, so you need to separate the polystyrene, separate the yarn so you can see the egg, and then you push the twisted end of the leg into the egg. Do this before you glue them so that you can check the positioning. Check to see how your hen stands, and if you're happy, then you can secure them in with some glue. And there you are, you have your hen all ready and all finished, and the little chick that goes with it. I hope you've enjoyed this workshop, and I look forward to seeing you on another one.